I can't seem to leave this thing alone. I've added some more stuff to the project. I added a separate power supply in the box for the Arduino, so it doesn't have to be powered USB anymore. So now I was able to add a USB port to the front, which now allows me to plug in with the laptop right to the front of the unit there, instead of having to dig around behind and unplug it from its power source and plug it into the laptop. That way it was less convenient. I also added the button. You can see the button there. It originally had that button in that case when it was whatever it used to be in its former life. What I did is I set that button up so it will well, I'll show you. It will reset the temperature, the high temp. So now it reset the high temp. It also tests the relay that I added, which is something else I just added. So that was pretty cool functionality there. But I also added, because I've had this weird problem with this meter, which is off right now because the unit is actually off. And it would float, the current reading would float. So I couldn't figure out why it was doing that, and rather than chase the problem around, I decided to just add a relay to the project controlled by the Arduino. So basically when the Arduino sees the duty load come up above 0 and it switches the off to an on, it also hits that relay and turns on this display, and it will start reading. So it also turns on the little LED in the center of the push button. So that's cool. And also, in theory, when it reaches 100%, it will flash the LED in the center of the button. So just to make sure all that works, I decided to write a little test program. It's basically the same code that's in it right now, but with some dummy data being faked in there so that it thinks that data is moving around and it's not. So it'll test all of its functionality. So I'm going to go ahead, plug into my new port, and then we're going to go ahead and send this test program. And give it a second here. All right, there's the test. And you can see it's just counting up, and that's all it's going to do. It's going to count up to 100, 120, and it's going to reset. And you can see at 20, it started the duty cycle as well. And you can see how that meter's floating a little bit. And that'll count right on up to 120, and then it will reset. And you can see that the LED came on in the push button after the on indicator came on. Now it's going to go relatively quickly here to 100%. And there you can see I have it flashing. And then she resets and starts over again and does the test all over. So the power supply I added so I could free up that USB port and get that panel mounted USB port installed. So that was cool. And the relay I added for the display, because the display, when it wasn't seeing any current flow, would float for some reason. I'm not sure why. And that kind of solves that problem and shuts it off when the unit's actually not doing anything. So that works out okay. There's only one other thing I'd like to maybe add to the system, and that's a self-check. Maybe if you hold the button for a period of time, have it go into a self-check where it will measure the resistance of where it will measure the resistance of the resistor bank and check it against a known value to make sure that nothing's changed, and the way that that's wired, if any single resistor was to fail, the resistance of the whole bank would go up, so it should be pretty easy to detect. So that's the only other thing I might add to it, but for now I'm going to call it complete. Maybe.